The top stories tonight in Y News. Solons in the lower house of Congress elect Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco as the new House Speaker. But Congressman Alan Peter Cayetano calls the session outside of the Plenary Hall illegal.
This is unprecedented. Never in the history of the Philippines ganito ka-baboy ang ginawa sa Kongreso. Never.
Is fed up with politics in the House of Representatives, according to Malacanang.
In principle, the President does not want to be involved in politics. Natagam na ako. Natagam is the Visayan word for nadala na ako.
In the know, proper ventilation in cars and establishments to curb COVID-19 spread. Tropical storm Nika exited the Philippine area of responsibility this morning and now with international name Nangka.
Twitter flags U.S. President Donald Trump's claim that he is now immune to COVID-19.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, October 12, 2020. I am Jorlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide with the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news, Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco has been elected as the new House Speaker in a session held outside of the Plenary Hall earlier today. But for Taguig Representative Alan Peter Cayetano, that session of lawmakers held at a sports club in Quezon City is illegal. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Through the votes of 186 members of the lower house of Congress, during a session held at Celebrity Sports Plaza in Quezon City today, Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco has been elected as the new House Speaker of the House of Representatives. Velasco immediately took oath in front of Barangay Captain Alan Franza of Barangay Matandang Balara, Quezon City. In his speech as the new Speaker, Velasco said that one must fulfill the commitment and promises made.
And most of all, today's events would ensure that the President's call for a timely, legal, and constitutional approval of the 2021 budget will be complied with.
Velasco also thanked the support of President Rodrigo Duterte, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte, and Senator Bongo, as well as various parties and blocs in the House of Representatives. On the other hand, Congressman Alan Peter Cayetano called the election of Congressman Velasco fake.
They can declare the world ending today, but their session is nothing more than a social club na nag-violate din ng IATF rules.
Cayetano also said in a news conference that what the group only wants is to create chaos in the lower house.
This is unprecedented. Never in the history of the Philippines ganito ka-baboy ang ginawa sa Kongreso. Never.
Cayetano added that nobody can just call a session anywhere and conduct nominal voting for the speakership.
It creates a very, very disturbing precedent kung ang theory nila basta't may quorum anywhere they can meet.
Cayetano is set to call a session tomorrow to tackle the 2021 proposed national budget. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte is fed up with politics in the House of Representatives, according to Malacanang. The chief executive hopes that the national budget will be passed during the special session in the lower house. Our palace correspondent Rosa Dicos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has repetitively asked the lawmakers in the House of Representatives to set aside politics. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, the chief executive wants to pass the proposed national budget for 2021. And once this happens, the congressmen can do what they want with the speakership.
In principle, the president does not want to be involved in politics. Natagam na ako. Natagam is the Visayan word for nadala na ako. Yan po ang verbatim na sinabi ng presidente nung siya'y nanawagan sa mga kongresista natin na isantabi po ang politika.
The palace believes that talks of speakership will delay the passage of the national budget. It appeals to Congress to prioritize the budget.
Wala pong tigil ang politika dyan sa Kamara. Ang gusto lang pareho, lahat ng mga gusto mag-speaker, kapangyarihan, paano naman ang bahayan? So wala po siyang pinapanigil at this point. Ang gusto lang niya, mapasa po ang kanyang COVID-19 budget na nasa loob po ng 2021 proposed budget.
On the issue of the special session period in the lower chamber from October 13 to 16, the palace says this is possible. However, the president hopes the proposed spending measure would be approved on third and final reading during the special session period. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The government reminds employers to give employees their 13th month pay even during this time of pandemic. Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry offers a loan program for enterprises that need additional funds for their recovery from the effects of the present health crisis. Ray Pelay explains why.
The Employers Confederation of the Philippines, or ECOP, is worried about the possible effects on most enterprises in the country of obliging companies to give their workers 13th month pay this year. According to ECOP, around 90% of employers belong to the micro enterprises.
We are encouraging everybody, of course, to pay because that's the law. Unfortunately, the reality is mayroong mga kumpanya na hindi kayang magbigay.
But Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III reiterates that the law mandates employers to pay 13th month pay. Even a workers' welfare advocate group says the same.
Yung 13-month pay dapat bayaran ng mga employers on or before December 25. Yan po ang batas PD 851. Kaya wala po kaming planong i-postpone o i-delay ang pagbayad yan.
Malinaw ang batas. Walang sinasabi na may exemption, i-defer, i-cancel o hindi bayaran ng mga employers.
On the other hand, employers group ECOP is citing a particular provision of the implementing rules and regulations of the law that may exempt an employer.
Sa IRR niya, mayroong provision na in case yung kumpanya talaga may problema na pwede magbigay ng exemption. Pag-uusapan niya ano ba yung kondisyones na yun para sa exemption.
Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry, through the Small Business or SB Corporation, gets 10 billion pesos from the Bayanihan to recover as one law for the MSME's loan program. The procedure will be accomplished online.
Ito ngayon ang nire-require natin. As long as meron kang BIR filed financial statement, maaari na kung mag-apply.
For enterprises who would like to apply for a loan from SB Corporation, just log on to brs.sbgfc.org.ph. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Malacanang says it is mandatory to provide 13th month pay to workers according to law. This is the response of the palace after DOLE said that it is studying which companies can be exempted from giving the 13th month pay. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, unless the law is amended, the benefit must be given. However, the palace is letting DOLE study the issue since the pandemic has greatly affected businesses in the country.
The law has not been amended. That is the law. That is a mandatory provision of the Labor Code.
Meanwhile, the country's Department of Health says that 3,564 new cases were reported today, mostly from the National Capital Region, which reported more than 1,000 additional cases today. While Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal logged over 200 new positive cases each, and Iloilo 164 to be included in the provinces with the highest number of COVID-19 cases. Now, the country's total confirmed cases further increased to 342,816, which is ranked 18th in this world tally between Italy and Saudi Arabia. But the active cases in the Philippines have gone down to 43,332, of which 83.9% are in mild condition, while 10.8% are asymptomatic. We have lost 11 more patients, but through our fervent prayers, medical interventions, and sacrifices of our medical frontliners, 150 more people have won their battle against the invisible enemy. That brings the total number of recoveries nationwide to more than 293,000. That number is the 16th highest for recoveries worldwide. Thanks be to God.
Women are more likely to adhere to guidelines preventing COVID-19 transmission, according to a new study. Researchers suggest fine-tuning health messages aimed at alerting men in particular to the critical role of maintaining social distancing, hygiene, and mask wearing. Jovic Bermas explains why.
In a recent study published in Behavioral Science and Policy, researchers from New York and Yale universities reported that women are more likely than are men to adhere to guidelines recommended by medical experts to stop the spread of COVID-19. Preventive practices such as physical distancing, mask wearing, and maintaining hygiene are practiced to a greater degree by women than men and are likely to pay attention to experts' advice as well in response to COVID-19. Irmak Olkaysoy Octen, the paper's lead author and a postdoctoral researcher in NYU's Department of Psychology, said previous study before the pandemic shows that women had been visiting doctors more frequently in their daily lives and following their recommendation more so often than men. Octen and his co-researchers Anton Golwitzer and Gabriel Oettingen concluded that these behaviors of women translated into greater efforts in endorsing preventive health practices during the peak period of the pandemic in the US. The researchers employed several methodologies on 3 studies. In the survey, among the 800 U.S. residents, women were more likely than were men to follow COVID-19 protocols and to attribute their behaviors to feeling anxious about the pandemic, as well as to feeling a responsibility to both themselves and to others. Researchers also found statistically in a second study among 300 pedestrians in 3 different U.S. locations that there was a significant proportion of mask wearing among women 55.1% than men 37.6%. In a final study between March 9 and May 29, however, the differences remained even in both gender when researchers tracked their movement and analyzed their GPS location data from approximately 3,000 U.S. counties and 15 million GPS smartphone coordinates. To effectively reduce the spread of the virus, the researchers suggest fine-tuning health messages aimed at alerting men in particular to the critical role of maintaining social distancing, hygiene, and mask wearing. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Let's now take a closer look at the updated count of coronavirus cases around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of more than 37.5 million confirmed cases in 188 countries, regions, and sovereignty. India now joins the United States with more than 7 million cumulative number of COVID-19 cases. Iran, on the other hand, passes the 500,000 mark of confirmed infections. The fast-spreading disease has claimed almost 1.08 million lives globally, while over 26.09 million patients across the globe have recovered from the new coronavirus infection. Thanks be to God.
The Department of Health has issued a guidance for ventilation in cars and establishments. The DOH even reminds to close the toilet seat lid when flushing. Our health correspondent Aiko Miguel explains why.
Although airborne transmission of COVID-19 is not yet proven, the Department of Health has issued Memorandum Order number 2020-0429 as a guidance for ventilation to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 transmission in enclosed spaces like vehicles and establishments. According to Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, transmission of the SARS-CoV-2 virus is more possible in closed settings.
Pinag-aralan po ng eksperto kung ang COVID-19 ay naipapasa through airborne, no? Habang wala pa pong conclusive na evidence ng airborne transmission, nirerekomenda na ho ng DOH na tayo ay maniguro para sigurado na may sapat na ventilation ang mga enclosed spaces katulad sa ating mga workplaces, sa mga comfort rooms at sa mga sasakyan.
The DOH memo states that in choosing where to conduct activities, open spaces should be prioritized. Individuals should not be situated directly in the flow of air coming from fans or air conditioning units, which may facilitate the transmission of the virus if it directs air from an infected individual to other people inside a room or space. According to Undersecretary Vergere, if before when it's hot, people are accustomed to sitting right in front of an electric fan.
So marami po sa ating mga kababayan, pag init na init, no, tinatapat nila yung mukha nila doon sa mga electric fan at aircon. Pero ngayon kung may ganito tayong sitwasyon, lalong-lalo na we are in an enclosed space at may mga kasama tayo sa loob, iwasan po natin ang ganitong mga practices, no?
Based on the department memo, a comfort room should have an exhaust fan. When using the toilet, it is advisable to close the toilet seat lid while flushing if available. This aims to minimize the release of droplets into the airflows when flushing. In vehicles, natural ventilation and access to open air is recommended. Avoid using the recirculated air option for the car's ventilation during passenger transport. The DOH also reminds the public to be extra cautious in handling things, especially objects owned by a COVID-19 carrier.
So maaari rin pong makakuha via contact transmission kapag nakahawak po tayo ng isang tao o ng mga bagay na nahawakan na po ng ating mga may sakit na COVID at naihawak po natin ang ating kamay sa bibig, sa mata o sa ilong.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The health department says government officials are not exempted from undergoing quarantine, especially when they often travel to provinces for work purposes. Aiko Miguel is back for the details why. Travel restrictions are strictly implemented in provinces, especially on travelers who come from areas with high cases of COVID-19, especially Metro Manila. According to the DOH, as ordinary citizens have been observing such rules, government officials are not exempted from undergoing quarantine, especially those who have been exposed to COVID-19 and have symptoms of the disease.
We have these protocols naman na in place, no, na sinasabi natin when you go to a specific area, kailangan meron tayong symptom screening. Kailangan meron tayong, if you are coming from, if you have symptoms, you will be quarantined, you will be tested. No? So lahat po ng patakaran na yan, sinutupad din po yan ng ating mga government officials. Hindi po sila exempted.
But according to the DOH, there are officials who have been traveling. Such government officials just have to observe the health protocols.
Kailangan lang natin ipatupad na talagang lahat to comply with minimum health standards at saka yung mga protocol ng gobyerno ay masusunod din kapag sila ay pumupunta from one place to another. But again, I just like to emphasize some government officials need to go personally, no, or in person to a specific place because that's part of their mandate and function.
The DOH reminds the public to responsibly observe health protocols. The proper wearing of face mask and face shield and observing physical distancing will give an individual 99% protection against COVID-19, according to the Health Department. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Education wants to limit homework for students or school activities given by teachers amid the implementation of distance learning. Dante Amento tells us why.
Teachers are not advised to pressure students as to the submission of schoolwork or output as students are learning online or remotely. DepEd even asks teachers to lessen the assignments or homework given to students. Undersecretary Diosdado San Antonio says that answering the module exercises is optional.
Ayaw naman natin na yung excitement ng mga bata na matuto ay ma-convert into parang burnout na masyadong mabilis pag sobra-sobra na. Kaya may mga superintendents din po akong na-monitor na nag-remind na kung ano lang yung kaya ng bata, yun lang muna ang isumite. Hindi naman po ito dapat panahon na super higpit tayo sa mga kung ano-ano ginagawa natin.
USEC San Antonio adds that during weekends, teachers are advised to refrain from giving additional tasks to give students time to rest.
Kahit Sabado at Linggo nagtitext pa si teacher ng dagdag na gagawin, maliban po sa mga nakasulat doon. So, yun po yata ang mga kailangang hindi gagawin, yung mga additional na pinapagawa na binibigay sa mga bata na hindi na sa panahon ng dapat sila ay nag-aaral pa kasi weekend naman sa Linggo.
Dantiamento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
In other news, the Philippine National Police leadership orders police commanders to assist local government units and the Philippine Statistics Authority in the national ID registration, which began today in 32 provinces. Leia Ilagan details why.
To have a safe national ID registration, Philippine National Police personnel have been tasked to assist local government units and the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. PNP Chief Police General Camilo Cascolan said that the duty of his men includes LGU and PSA personnel who will make house-to-house visit for the registration.
They should always be visible. Number 2, they should always assist. Number 3, they should always follow anti-COVID protocols. And of course, maintain peace and order.
The PSA has hired 5,000 personnel to gather data and perform interviews when they go house to house. Joint Task Force Coronavirus Shield Commander, Police Lieutenant General Guillermo Eliazar, meanwhile, says there are 3 processes in registering in the national ID system. These are data gathering, visitation for biometrics, and issuance of the ID, which are huge challenges because of the pandemic. The first wave of the registration will be in Ilocos Sur, Cagayan, Isabela, La Union, Pangasinan, Zambales, Tarlac, Bulacan, Bataan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Cavite, Batangas, Rizal, Laguna, Quezon, Camarines Sur, Albay, Masbate, Antique, Capiz, Iloilo, Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, Cebu, Bohol, Leyte, Davao del Norte, Davao del Sur, Davao Occidental, Compostela Valley, and Tawi-Tawi, while Metro Manila will start next year. The national government targets to issue the national ID to 92 million Filipinos until June 2022. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Senator Cynthia Villar grilled officials of the Department of Agriculture due to supposed overlapping of some of its programs for the rice industry. In today's Senate hearing on the proposed budget of the Agriculture Department and its COVID-19 response, the senator, who also chairs the Committee on Agriculture, asked the agency the item for training services and the provision of agricultural equipment under the National Rice Program. According to Villar, these have already been funded in the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, or RCEF, under the Rice Tariffication Law. DA Undersecretary Ariel Cayanan was not able to continue his answer as the lady senator hit the agency's failure to submit list of beneficiaries of hybrid seeds under the National Rice Program. Villar said she has been asking for the report to avoid duplication so that those who have received hybrid seeds will no longer receive the inbred seeds from the Philippine Rice Research Institute under the RCEF. She added it It is also to ensure the proper distribution of seeds to 947 rice-producing towns across the country.
Big na big kayo. Bakit ka magbibigay ng seeds tapos hindi mo magawa listahan kung sino binigyan mo ng seeds? Tapos sasabihin nyo na kayo na walang corruption. Ba't tayo kayo magbigay ng listahan kung talaga walang corruption? At duda ko, forgive me, kasi ba't ayaw kayo magbigay ng report? Baka hindi kayo nagdi-distribute ng hybrid seeds sa nasabi nyo lang.
According to Cayetano, they have submitted to the committee the list of regions, but Senator Villar said she has not received any and that she is requesting for the detailed list of towns and beneficiaries. The DA vowed to submit the detailed report to the senator. Senator Kiko Pangilinan also requested to the department the list of over 800,000 beneficiaries of the Rice Resiliency Program.
Yes, Madam Chair, we will be submitting that po, yung mga bawat tao po, pangalan po.
The Tourism Department is keen about boosting domestic travel. A tourism official even says that tourist guides and tourism sector workers will be offered assistance to help them recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Joan Nano tells us why.
In today's episode of Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, Department of Tourism Undersecretary Benito Bengson said they are finalizing the guidelines for loan programs that will be offered to small and medium enterprises in the tourism sector to recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. With this, small business owners will be allowed to borrow cash from the government in order to start their businesses anew. Under the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act 2, a 10 billion peso fund is allotted by the DOT to help micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs. Tourism workers such as local and regional tourist guides will be provided with cash assistance.
Ang pinaka-objective lang yan is gaya ng binanggit mo, matulungan itong mga tourism enterprises, no, talagang naghihingalo na dahil syempre walang turista, walang revenue. Pero napakaganda po nung mga terms na binigay sa amin ng Small Business Corporation ng Department of Trade and Industry at nakipagpulong na rin kami sa private sector at sa pananaw nila maganda yung mga rates na ibinigay.
The Department of Tourism also calls on the public to help in strengthening local tourism in order to boost our economy. With this, they will coordinate with the Department of Health to look for much cheaper cost of RT-PCR testing, which is one of the requirements for local tourists. Yusek Benson says a lot of local tourists are still hesitant to travel since swab testing is too expensive. Last year, the national government generated a total of 3.1 trillion pesos in revenue from local tourism. So the DOT is very keen about boosting domestic travel.
Ang pinaka-priority natin is tulungang makabangon yung mga tourism enterprises, no? At tulungan natin yung mga kababayan natin na nawalan ng trabaho. So ito yung magiging priority natin in the next several months, no, in the next couple of years. Suportahan natin ang domestic tourism dahil ito po talaga ang aahon ng ating tourism industry.
Apart from the Boracay Island, Baguio City, which is among the top tourist destinations in the country, Ilocos Norte will also be starting to accommodate local tourists within Luzon region beginning on October 15. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The World Health Organization commends the water sewerage system in the MCGI UNTV Health Facility. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why.
The World Health Organization reveals that the MCGI UNTV Health Facility for COVID-19 patients built in Malolos, Bulacan is one-of-a-kind temporary treatment and monitoring facility or TTMF. Advocating improvement of water sanitation and health program, the WHO explains that the sewerage system of this isolation facility ensures the safety of residents and the environment around it.
This sewerage system po, it's na nakikita namin dito sa TTMF po na ito, it's highly sustainable and it's very environment friendly. If you look at dun sa mga TTMFs po natin, the conventional or the usual na nakikita po natin sa mga communities po natin, although they are adhering po sa set standards po ng DOH and WHO. This is something very new doon sa mga sa nakita po natin na TTMFs.
These are made possible through the facility's advanced wastewater treatment system. This system collects all wastewater from the facility, which undergoes treatment or cleaning, making sure it is no longer contaminated with any impurities and unwanted bacteria prior to disposal to the sewerage system in the community.
O doon niya tinitreat pati yung baho, pati yung pagpatay sa virus, sa bacteria na hindi kailangan. At ito na rin yung lumilinis para pag-discharge, malinis na siya na kahit i-test mo based on the standard of the DENR, pasado siya, safe ka na. In fact, to the extent na pwede mo siyang inumin Kaya lang, hindi naman natin pinapagawa yun.
The MCGI UNTV Health Facility aims to provide safety not only to patients and personnel in the establishment, but also to the people in the community.
Idea ito ni Kuya Daniel na dapat safe yung tao, safe yung pasyente, safe yung staff, and even the environment.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police Chief ordered unit commanders to evaluate their personnel to ensure that they don't have pending cases. PNP Chief Police General Camilo Cascolan wants right people for the right position. Our police correspondent Leah Ilagan tells us why.
Policemen with pending abuse cases cannot be posted in police units that deal with civilians. This is why PNP Chief Police General Camilo Cascolan orders all unit commanders to evaluate their personnel. The PNP chief wants to ensure that cops in various units don't have pending cases. This move comes after the assignment of Police Lieutenant Colonel Jigar Noceda in a custodial center while he still had an active torture case involving an inmate in Carbone, Cavite in May 2015.
Personal files will always be checked and evaluated by each unit. They should be able to do that so that they will be able to know where to place our people. Kaya nga sinabi natin, right people at the right people for the right position.
General Cascolan also confirms Noceda is now in restrictive custody after he was slapped with charges by former Ozami City Vice Mayor Nova Princess Paruhinog relative to incidents of sexual assault.
He's in restrictive custody and he will have to ask if there is a reason for him to go out.
The administrative case against Noceda in the PNP Internal Affairs Service is ongoing, while criminal cases of acts of lasciviousness, unjust vexation, and violation of Safe Spaces Act are being filed by Women's and Child Protection Center or WCPC. Leah Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Bureau of Immigration is set to file a deportation case against arrested Indonesian suicide bomber Reski Fantasia Ruli alias Sisi. The former suicide bomber was nabbed in a joint entrapment operation, including immigration personnel last Saturday in Holo, Sulu. Authorities say she is the wife of Abu Sayyaf Group sub-leader Andy Baso, who has been killed in a recent encounter with government troops. Authorities consider Sisi a high-value target engaged in terroristic activities, particularly in southern Philippines. Based on intelligence reports, the foreign suicide bomber was planning to conduct a suicide bombing in Sulu before she was arrested, together with two local females who have also been arrested. The water levels of major dams in Luzon continue to increase. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa says that more rain can be expected. Ray Pelayo explains why.
Angat Dam in Bulacan Province as of 6 a.m. today has surpassed its minimum operating level of 180 meters as rainfall augments its water supply. But it needs 28 meters more of water to reach the normal high water level of 210 meters.
Ngayon po ang pinakamababang bagsak ng tubig ng Angat. Dapat nga ito ngayong mga panahon na ito nasa mga 200 meters na tayo para pagdating ng Disyembre. Meron tayong sapat na tubig
Angat Dam is the primary source of water of Metro Manila residents. Pag-asa is expecting around 5 to 8 more tropical cyclones that may enter the Philippine area of responsibility from October to March next year. The State Weather Bureau hopes that these weather disturbances can help increase if it rains over the water reservoirs. Pag-asa is also expecting above normal rainfall in the country in the last quarter of 2020 until the first quarter of next year. Ipo Dam, also in Bulacan, has slightly released water after it reached its maximum capacity of 101 meters. The Mesa Dam in Quezon City also nears its overflowing level of 80.15 meters. Residents near the Tulyahan River are advised to be alert of possible flooding. These are the areas of Fairview, Forest Hills Subdivision, Quirino Highway, Santa Quiteria, and San Bartolome, all in Quezon City. Also in Barangay Ligon, La Huerta Subdivision, and in North Expressway in Valenzuela, and in low-lying areas of Malabon. Magat Dam in Isabela needs 10 meters to reach its maximum capacity. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Now, here's a glimpse of what's the weather like in parts of the country. Tropical storm Nika exited the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR this morning and now has international name Nangka. State Weather Bureau Pag-asa says as of 3 p.m. today, Nika was located at 485 kilometers west of northern Luzon with maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 80 kilometers per hour moving west-northwestward. Pag-asa adds today until tomorrow morning, the combined effects of Nika and the southwest monsoon or hanging habagat will bring light to moderate with at times heavy rains over Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Camarines Provinces, Mindoro Provinces, and Palawan, including Kalayaan, Calamian, and Cuyo Islands. Meanwhile, an LPA was located 450 kilometers east-northeast of Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur, or 530 kilometers east of Surigao City, Surigao del Norte. This will bring cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms over Davao Oriental, Dinagat Islands, and Surigao provinces, and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers due to localized thunderstorms. Possible flash floods or landslides may occur during severe thunderstorms. No tropical cyclone advisory is issued. The hottest temperature recorded today at the Pag-asa weather station in Quezon City was at 1:50 in the afternoon at 27.8 degrees Celsius, and the coldest at 5 in the morning with 25.2 degrees Celsius. In other news, the Department of National Defense said today that President Duterte is helping its ground troops with its intel funds. This was after Senator Panfilo Lacson inquired the agency during its subcommittee hearing on the proposed 2021 national budget if it is receiving funds like the Philippine National Police from the Office of the President with an allocation of 4.5 billion pesos. According to Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, they need higher funding than the proposed 2021 confidential and intel funds worth 1.7 billion pesos, but they would understand if lower budget will be given. Meanwhile, also today, the proposed 8.2 billion peso fund of the Office of the President was swiftly approved by the Senate subcommittee. Senator Christopher Bongo, who led the committee hearing, also expressed confidence that President Duterte is using its intel funds wisely. According to Go, these funds are vital in maintaining peace and order, which is why the crime rate in the country has significantly decreased since President Duterte took office.
I assure you that the President's primordial concern is the welfare of the Filipino, which is why I have full faith and confidence that the President exercises the use of said fund judiciously.
And for the news abroad, here's Elsie Marcos reporting live from Auckland, New Zealand.
William, the New Zealand border is currently closed to almost all travelers to help stop the spread of COVID-19. However, the government has announced a new border exception category that will allow 250 international PhD and postgraduate students to enter New Zealand. Granting a border exception for a small number of international students to enter the country recognizes the vital role international education will play in the recovery and rebuild of New Zealand and the need to continue the fight against COVID-19. Education Minister Chris Hipkins said the 250 international PhD and postgraduate students must hold or have held a visa to study in New Zealand in 2020. But have been unable to enter New Zealand due to COVID-19. China has announced that it will join COVAX, the international coalition that aims to fairly distribute COVID-19 vaccines. COVAX, which is run by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, and the World Health Organization, wants to provide 2 billion vaccine doses to the most vulnerable people, to healthcare workers, especially in poor countries. Some 80 wealthy countries have committed to support the initiative, with the notable exception of the United States. It is not clear yet whether China will commit money or vaccines and how much. Victoria is aiming to have 5 or less cases between October 5 and October 18. However, those targets are now unachievable in the next week. Joining us tonight is one of our correspondents in Australia, Early Briones, to tell us why, live. Yes, Early?
Elsie, this Monday is dreadful for Victoria after detecting 15 new COVID-19 cases that surpass its average of 14 cases per day. This means that it is far from possible to make the average cases be 5 or less before October 19 to ease the lockdown. To date, Victoria has 189 active coronavirus cases, where 5 are in regional areas. Victoria Premier Daniel Andrews acknowledged the fact that Victorians are getting enough of the lockdown and getting tired of it. According to Premier Daniel Andrews, though it is alarming, he's got nothing against it because it is natural for everyone to get exhausted after many months of lockdown. In line with this, new face mask rules was announced and effective immediately today, 12th of October. This is to make sure that Victorians are protected and safe as much as possible. It is now compulsory to all Victorians to put on fitted masks that fully covers the mouth and nose when they are outside, regardless where they live. According to the new rule, bandanas and scarves are not acceptable anymore. However, face shields can still be used but still needs to wear the mask under it. The penalty for violating the new face mask rule is 200 Australian dollars or 7,000 pesos. Elsie?
Early, since Victoria has implemented tighter rules regarding the strict use of face masks when in public places, will New South Wales start to do the same?
Elsie, there's still no announcements whether there will be new rules about face masks here in New South Wales. However, New South Wales Labour Group is again calling the attention of Premier Gladys Berejiklian to make the use of face masks mandatory because of the latest COVID-19 transmission that took place in a Sydney public bus. According to Transport spokesman Chris Minnis, the number of face mask users dropped dramatically on public transports on recent weeks. Elsie?
Thank you, Early Briones, reporting live from New South Wales, Australia. An Australian writer officially charged with espionage after being held in China for almost 2 years. Joining us tonight is one of our correspondents in Australia, Marvy Delphine, to tell us why, live. Yes, Marvy?
LC, Chinese-born Australian writer Yang Hengjun has been formally charged with espionage by Chinese prosecutors after 20 months of being held in China. The 55-year-old outspoken blogger will face trial in Beijing, with a judge expected to be appointed in the next fortnight. Yang, a former employee of China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and now pro-democracy activist, was arrested in January 2019 at Guangzhou Airport after arriving from New York with his family. Yang's wife, Yuan Xiaoliang, felt helpless after hearing her husband had been charged. She said no one could help him now. The Australian government can't help him either. We have to follow China's law. On Friday, his lawyer Shang Baojun said that Dr. Yang's case has been transferred to the Beijing Second Intermediate People's Court and has been officially charged on October 7 with espionage. And on Saturday, the Australian government was also informed about the prosecution. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison was reluctant to make extensive commentary on Dr. Yang's case, but he argued that Australian diplomats were working hard behind the scenes to help him. Let us hear from Prime Minister Morrison's press conference statement regarding this situation.
We will continue to provide that consular assistance. We are obviously keen and have been stressing in all our diplomatic engagements around this issue that there should be transparency, there should be a fair and just process. These are the things that we stand for as Australians, and there is no reason why we shouldn't expect the same for any Australian, wherever they are in the world, including in the PRC.
Yang is among several Australians detained by Chinese authorities. Currently, Chinese-Australian TV anchor Sheng Lei is also being held by state security on unknown claims. Elsie?
Marvi, the system in China is very different to the system there in Australia. What is Yang Hengjun's condition at the moment?
Elsie, accounts have emerged of Dr. Yang being subjected to brutal daily interrogations, with his arms and legs shackled as Chinese security officials tried to break him and extract confessions. Yang said he had endured more than 300 interrogations, sometimes for hours in the middle of the night, from more than 30 different people. China has a very high conviction rate for crimes such as espionage, as the prosecutors rely heavily on confessions. Since his detention, Dr. Yang, who was previously healthy, has developed serious medical problems. Foreign Minister Marise Payne has called out China for what she described as the unacceptable treatment of an Australian citizen. Elsie?
All right, we hope to hear more developments from this story. Thank you, Marvi, for that report, live from Perth, Australia. Twitter flags U.S. President Donald Trump's claim that he is now immune to COVID-19, which now infects an average of 45,000 Americans each day. One of our correspondents in California, USA, Sonny Cos, explains why.
Claiming without evidence, U.S. President Donald Trump said in a tweet that he is now immune to COVID-19, a move that drew a flag from Twitter for violating its rules about misleading information related to the infectious disease. The comments from the U.S. president came a day after his physician said he had taken a test showing he is no longer infectious, but never directly said whether Trump had been tested negative for COVID-19. Trump, who is currently trailing against his Democratic rival Joe Biden in opinion polls, also said that these results free him to return to holding campaign rallies during the final weeks of the race to the White House. There is currently no scientific evidence concluding that recovered patients have antibodies and are protected from a second infection, as the administration's actions in handling the pandemic has become front and center in issues that Americans are looking at in the lead to November 3 election. The current presidential survey shows that Biden leads the Republican candidate nationally, including some must-win states for the president such as Pennsylvania and Florida. The United States is reporting an average of 48,000 new coronavirus cases a day, Nearly 7.7 million people have been infected by the virus and more than 214,000 have died from it. Sonicos UNTV News and Rescue, USA. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
New Zealand's response to COVID-19 has been ranked first in the world, according to Bloomberg Business Media Survey. Joining us tonight is one of our correspondents in New Zealand, Iya De Vera, to tell us why live. Iya, why is New Zealand's COVID-19 response ranked number 1?
Elsie, for the respondents to the recent Bloomberg Business Survey, New Zealand has topped the Global Market Crisis Management Index with the country's response to the coronavirus pandemic. Those respondents included 700 business decision makers from several sectors. New Zealand scored 238 points, besting other countries such as Japan, which places second with 204 points, and Taiwan, which ranks number 3 with 198 points. New Zealand scored high in economic recovery, political stability, virus control, and social resilience. Led by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, New Zealand plans to open up investment opportunities to support the recovery and rebuild. The country's Minister of Finance, Grant Robertson, mentioned in the press release that the best economic response is a strong health response. He added that throughout COVID-19, the government supported businesses and protected jobs to be in the best position for recovery. When Alert Level 1 in Auckland City was announced, Prime Minister Ardern said that New Zealand's economy is able to return close to normal. Let us also hear more from the Prime Minister.
Even under Alert Level 3, the Treasury estimated economic activity was at 80 to 85% of what is usual. And in recent weeks at Level 2 have revised the number up to 90 to 94% of normal activity. We've seen the strength of our economy in recent weeks through jobs, exports, building consents and traffic updates.
Meanwhile, Japan's global response supports development of vaccines against COVID-19. It also includes strengthening the economy and creating a flexible but resilient society. Taiwan government, on the other hand, quickly responded with a plan of preventing the virus by strict border control and introducing relief programs such as financial aid, employment assistance, and tax breaks to stimulate country's economy. Elsie?
All right, thank you, Iya De Vera, for that report. Stay safe there in Hamilton, New Zealand. And those are the reasons behind the news here in New Zealand and in other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you. And for the news abroad, here's Elsie Marcos reporting live from New Zealand. Thank you very much.
And those are the reasons behind the news, October 12, 2020. I am Horlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.